everyone, Ryan here. Us. Us is a very interesting movie. Finally got to watch it, and I was actually pretty surprised. Now granted, I expected it to be like some kind of mediocre horror type movie, and of course it does have those elements, but kind of towards the middle, it takes an interesting turn. Pretty much it focuses on the character Adelaide, and it starts off when she's a little girl. It shows her at some kind of carnival with her parents, and at one point she wanders off from her parents. She goes into this tent, and inside the tent it's kind of like a hall of mirrors type thing, just a bunch of mirrors and a bunch of cheesy looking robotic animals, and then she comes upon what she believes is her reflection, but it's actually some kind of clone of herself. And of course that, the beginning of the movie, it's supposed to take place sometime in the 80s. And that's where, it kind of cuts off, and then it fast forwards to present day, and it shows Adelaide as an adult, and she's already married. She has 2 kids, a son and a daughter, and they actually end up vacationing in the same location where she's, where she was with her parents many years ago, and pretty much the same spot, where she went, the same carnival, near the same beach, and of course that mirror place is still there, and she doesn't go back in. She doesn't go back in it. Her son kind of comes close to going in it, but then he's kind of taken aback by some creepy looking guy. And so then they leave the beach and go back to their summer home, and then later that night 4 individuals show up, and they're all wearing masks, and they appear really they do their best to intimidate the family, and they make their way into the house, and eventually they take off their masks and they reveal themselves to be clones, or I guess clones / doppelgangers of the family. And of course they don't give any explanation, really. I mean, except for the one doppelganger who's supposed to be the one that's supposed to be like a clone of Adelaide herself. But even that, she speaks in this very low kind of almost grunt-like kind of voice. But she does kind of explain, but she explains in a way, I guess you could say, that you'd expect a really young child to explain something. And then of course, the more horror elements come into play. They each doppelganger pretty much intimidates a member of the family, like the one who they're supposed to be the doppelganger of, and and there's kind of a lot of back and forth kind of stuff, violent stuff, and like I said, stuff that you'd expect from a typical horror movie. And then definitely towards the latter half of the movie, it gets really interesting, because then it's revealed that there are a lot more of these clones / doppelgangers. Possibly even of every person, pretty much every person in the world. That's never quite explained, or it could just be this like could just pertain to like this one community or city, or I don't know, not exactly sure. Because like I said, it's not explained in the movie. In fact, there's a lot of things that aren't explained. Which kind of like, I guess in a way that kind of bugged me. Like, I was kind of hoping that there would be a little more explanation, a lot more explanation. But still, I found it interesting nonetheless. Another thing else, I didn't find this movie really scary at all. Like, but then when it comes to most horror movies, I don't really find most horror movies to be that scary. But especially something like this, like I found it more intriguing than scary. Maybe I'll say, yeah, I found it like a tiny bit suspenseful. But yeah, more than anything else, I found it intriguing. And then once it finally gets to the end, of course I'm not going to give it away, but I wasn't expecting the end. And that was like, for me, that was like kind of like the cherry on top. Because then at least something was kind of explained. Still not completely, but kind of like. So, yeah, and of course, I'll say the performances in this are definitely pretty good. Yeah, I would say really the entire cast, did a pretty good job. I have no complaints about the acting. It's just like I said, I kind of wish there was I wish there was a lot more explanation. Like, but yeah, I believe everyone should watch this movie at least once, unless you're the type that happens to get easily scared or freaked out. But even then, I still believe everyone should watch this, because also too, it's an interesting concept, interesting storyline, and yeah, I don't know if Jordan Peele plans on making a sequel to this, or he easily could. Because I've yet to come across any other movie quite like this. Like I said, if you put all the horror elements aside, I've yet to see any movie quite like this. So, overall, I guess I'll give it. I was gonna say 8, but I would say at the most 8.5. 8.5 out of 10. Yeah, just because, like I said, right, it's pretty unique. Maybe to some people they wouldn't consider it like the most unique, but I don't know. I found it to be pretty unique. So that's what I'll do for my review of Us. And thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. As always, next one, don't forget, keep it real, keep on rocking, and peace.